Good morning, everybody. A happy Monday to you all. Welcome to Thrive, Not Just Survive. I'm your host, Nasira Jamal, and today I wanted to bring someone on that may be a lifesaver for those moms who are looking for their things for their children to do through the summer. But before I begin that, I wanted to talk about the idea of teachers and what they bring to our children and our community, because it takes a very special person to begin the journey of learning for our kids. And really, the art of teaching is the art of discovery. So it's not just about, putting in the child's head 2 plus 2 and 3 plus 4 and all of those numbers and all of those things, which of course we're going to, want to teach them, because that also builds up skill set. But it's about the idea of bringing the children to a point where they can start doing some analytical thinking and create the space for how they see the world and express themselves. So I want to bring this amazing person on that I met through Facebook, and social media has a great way of connecting the right people at the right time. So I want to bring Aalia on because her journey is going to inspire you for what she has, when she started and what she's doing now and how she's following her passion. So this really intrigues me because I help impact-driven entrepreneurs, women specifically, that want to create either a business or already in a business, that want to create impact and revenue and the synergy between them. So this person actually brings a lot to our broadcast today, because she's showing us how she's pivoting her plan with COVID-19 showing up. And so let's bring Aalia on so we can start this conversation. I'm so excited. Hey, Aalia, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me and actually getting me out of my track pants and getting my makeup on a little bit.
Hey, I love that, because I know a lot of people are kind of doing their work, doing whatever, but not really dressing up for the occasion. So thank you for doing that. So as we begin, I want to start with telling people sort of your journey, how you began, because initially when we talked on the phone, I thought you were just a young person starting out, as getting their education degree, but I want people to kind of know what your history is.
For sure. So young at heart, for sure, definitely. But in terms of age, I am a little bit older than you might presume. I started off, so while I was getting my undergrad, I always had a passion to be a teacher. So I took classes that would, direct me into teachers college. And then in my final year of university, I got this position as a teller for TD. And within 9 months, I jumped from teller to manager customer service. And of course, teacher salary versus bank manager salary definitely seemed a lot more appealing in your early 20s. So I kind of took a pause away from teachers college. I did end up finishing my undergrad, but I didn't continue to go into teachers college. And instead, I started working up the corporate ladder. And I worked several positions in the time of 10 years with TD. So I went from teller, and my last position there was regional sales manager. And I was supporting Durham district. So that's your Oshawa, Whitby, Lindsay, Port Perry, so all of those areas there. And I really enjoyed it. But the most, I guess, self-satisfying part of all of the positions that I worked at TD was coaching, mentoring, and teaching. So any of the jobs that I've ever held were always focused on teaching, which obviously that was my passion, right? So I guess that's kind of why I stayed in the bank for 10 years. And then when I left, it was almost like a blessing in disguise, because I was able to really take some time for myself, because within those 10 years, I actually had 2 kids. So of course, that took a turn going back, it's almost like when you're taken out of a situation is really when you're able to reflect and see, am I really happy, or am I just doing this for that, that paycheck in the end of the day, right? So when I left is when I was really able to sit back and say, you know what? I love teaching. I really wanted to be a teacher. I've always held positions as a teacher. So why not go back to teachers college and actually finish off? So in order to get into teachers college, now after being out of school for 10 years, I needed to brush up on, what what would make me a candidate or like knowing how the corporate ladder works. I wanted to be that, unique kind of person and have those skill sets that would make me stand out in, the little newbies that are coming out from teachers college that are probably 20 years younger than me, right? So I needed to brush up on what was happening in the world. So I sat down actually with my dad, and he inspired me to look into coding. And he's actually, as a profession, he's a computer programmer by profession. So it's funny because I was exposed to computer programming from a young age, but yet I had no clue what it was. I had no desire to learn it. I thought, my dad is sitting in front of a computer for like 20 hours a day. That has nothing to do with me. Um, but then actually, when I started learning about it, it really fascinated me. And it's not so much the coding aspect of it, but more of the robotics aspect of it. So getting something to actually do what you want it to do, like an app or a computer or a device, a robot, right? So that's the part that really fascinated me and really made me like, wow, okay, I need to know, I need to learn, and I need to know what this is all about. So so then I ended up learning on my own, self-taught, just went on some freebie websites online, started, investigating what exactly coding is. And that's when I really realized that I want to teach this because, you know, coding on one hand and then my teacher passion on the other, it was like, okay, this is going to be a perfect fit for me.
Right.
So because I had the two kids, I couldn't commit for another 2 years of my life to go to teachers college. And it was actually when I was in my daughter's school, I was volunteering at the time, and I was speaking to a lot of teachers, and they actually, well, number one, they're like, you're natural. You, even though you're just volunteering here, you're teaching the kids, you're, having that classroom management skills, you are, teaching the children without even knowing you're teaching the children. And that's what makes an amazing teacher is, not standing at the front of the room and lecturing, but actually engaging with the kids and having those conversations with them. And that's kind of my biggest piece of advice to parents right now is talk to your children. There is so much that they learn just through conversation with you or you explaining things to them in just layman language or, just regular conversations. That's what's really going to benefit them. And that's why I like coding, is because there's that aspect of them being able to apply what they're learning into the real world and into real life experiences.
Right. And I guess so from that, I'm just going to say
Yeah,
that,
I know. I'm like, I'm just going to ramble. So you just pause
just
me.
it's so fascinating. Like your whole journey is fascinating. But I like how you said, there's a marriage between teaching, which is what you're passionate about, and then
Right.
finding that niche, that
Yeah.
real niche to marry the two, so that you can actually bring something to the forefront that gets children to have start point and then something that works at the end point. So I'm going to let you continue, but I just wanted to kind of summarize all of this because I think it's an important piece of the puzzle.
For sure. So okay, so now I'm ready to go to teachers college, and I'm looking at all the options. I had great grades in my undergrad, so it's not like my grades were in a bad position, but it was more the time and the commitment for me. Being a mom of two, and my husband's an entrepreneur as well, so it's like having that work-life balance or school-life balance, I guess, in this respect, right? And looking at all the Ontario universities, like U of T, driving distance away from where I am. So I'm in North Richmond Hill. So driving distance for me, there's U of T, there's York, there's, if I wanted to go a little bit more north, it would be Lakehead and things like that in Aurelia. But again, it was a 5 days a week commitment. It was a 2-year commitment. And I was like, you know what, that's what really, I guess, put me at the back. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I'm in a different position right now. I have, my two kids. I'm not a 20-year-old newlywed that, my husband can do his thing and I can do my thing and it'll be okay. So I was volunteering at a school, and one of the teachers there had actually told me about this great program being offered at Niagara University. And they had so many different options that you could choose from. So you could accelerate the program and finish within 9 months. You could do it over a span of 2 years. You could do a year and a half. So really, they basically were able to customize it based on your own, I guess, commitments towards the program. And that's when I decided, you know what, this is going to be amazing. Yes, I have to drive to Niagara, New York State, twice a week, and have like 20-hour day, or not 20 hours, but I think there were about 18-hour days, or 18-hour long days for 2 days a week. But I would be done in 9 months. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I applied, I got in. And I started in July of 2019, and I just graduated in May of 2020. So
congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was like, so it was such a rewarding experience. But the fact that like that university was able to accommodate, my needs and, be able to fit just right with the way my life was working, right? Now, of course, it was an adjustment for all of us. Those 9 months were probably the worst 9 months of my life, because I was like glued to my desk and glued to my computer, and the kids were not happy about that, because I went from basically having all the time in the world for them for 2 years after I stopped working to, okay, you guys do your thing and I got to do my thing. Right. But it really helped, even the family dynamic. Like the kids realized how important education was, because we were all doing our homework together. And they realized like, mommy wants to do something with her life, and she wants, and it's sometimes things don't come as easy as you want them to be, right? So you got to work hard, and if you want something, you got to work for it. So I think that really instilled some great values for them as well, as difficult as it was for everyone involved, but we got through it. And that's, I think, my biggest advice to anyone is, short-term pain, long-term gain. Like, you can do it. Just have that bigger picture in mind and just go for it. Like, if you really want to do something, don't let anything stop you. Like, just do it. Like Nike,
Exactly. And I think that is something that's so powerful is, those things that limit us are our fears and, oh my God, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But really, when you really want something, if you can just look at the bigger picture and say, I'm just going to plow through this. And really, it is for long-term gain. So tell me now, of course, you graduated and COVID shows up.
Oh my God. Yes. So first of all, so my final semester in Teachers College ran from January to May. So that was my final semester. And number one, we had, we had strike days. So I'm losing days with the strike days. Then all of a sudden, my final placement, I have COVID. And I'm supposed to finish 6 weeks in a school to get to graduate. So not only me, but every other teacher candidate in Ontario, around the world, I guess, right, is being impacted by this. So we're all freaking out, like my entire cohort. We're all like, hey, what's going to happen? Every day we're emailing the administration. We're like, hey, can you guys tell us, give us some guidance, tell us what's happening. But not only that, I'm graduating from New York State. So not only do I have to worry about my New York State license, but then when coming here to Ontario, I have to make sure that, I have enough, or I have what I need to transfer here as well and be able to practice teaching here. So it was a real mess. But, we tried to stay optimistic, and at the end of the day, there's thousands and thousands of teacher candidates in the world that are relying on this last practicum. So we were, I don't know, I guess God answered our prayers, and a lot of the teacher candidates were just given a grace for their final placement. Now, me, I'm like super driven, obviously. And I'm like, no, I don't want to just do nothing for the semester. Like, what can I do? So I reached out to a private school who was conducting virtual classes. And if you ask any teacher candidate, or I guess any program that offers a co-op placement or an in-field placement, the most valuable experience you learn are during those placements, right? So in class, you're learning the theory and how to talk to kids and classroom management and things like that. But when you're actually teaching children is when you're gaining that valuable experience. And I didn't want to miss out on that valuable experience. So I reached out to this private school. And I asked them, I'll do anything. I'll do your planning. I'll find handouts for you. I'll do your marking, whatever it is, but just let me be on board with you. And they said yes, and they were happy to take me on. So I was so excited for that. Yeah, so I was able to gain that experience. And again, like, don't take no for an answer. Go get it. Like, if you want something, go for it, right? So I wanted it, I got it. So that's where I stand right now. COVID comes and I had these big aspirations, when I graduate, I'm going to get a job and I'm going to be able to, launch this whole after school robotics and coding club for all the students, and even offer in the schools, coding clubs. So really, let me tell you a little bit about what coding is, because I know I'm saying coding, and it's like, what is coding, right?
Yeah. So let's answer that big question, because I know I talked to you about that.
Yes. And it's like, okay, so I did kind of briefly talk about, what coding is, but really it's the ability to write computer language. Now, it's no longer, like, it's gone are the days where you have to put in, a bunch of zeros and ones and things like that to actually code. They've become really user friendly. So they're now like a lot of block-based coding languages. So children are able to see, in very simple English, they're able to read a little bit easier. If this happens, then that should happen. So, if you turn on your computer, then your Facebook should come on, or whatever it is, right? Something like as simple as that. And what it does is it makes it possible for us to basically create computer software, apps, and websites. Now, if that doesn't fly with the kids, or if that doesn't fly with, or jive with what you want to do, there's also robotics, the robotics aspect of it. So now you'll see a lot, and I think, I don't know, I'm going to throw a hypothetical number, but probably 90% of professions now require some sort of computer literacy skills and coding skills, because everything is becoming computerized, right? So, for example, one of my friends is a pharmacist, and she was telling me that coding is actually coming into the pharmacy world as well. And I'm like, how? Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, there's like a robot that picks up the medicine, takes it somewhere, adds, the lotion, for example, puts in the right quantity, shakes it up, and dispenses it to the patient or the customer. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that's getting it, and hopefully it won't take away so many jobs, but for us, we need to be able to tell that computer what to do, right? The computer doesn't have a brain at the end of the day. So we still have to act like the computer's brain. So being able to direct that robot to do what you want it to do, that's where coding comes in, and the ability to code, right? So basically, you provide the set of instructions to the robot or the mechanism that you're coding, which we call an algorithm in computer language, right? Which might come back to you now. Is it all coming back now?
So just as a reference, for people that don't know, I did take a computer programming diploma years and years ago. It wasn't my thing, as I was telling Aalia. It scared the pants off of me, though I did graduate. It wasn't my thing. So I'm so impressed that you've taken this journey on and teaching the rest of us how important it is.
It is. It's really important. So I'm going to tell you a little bit like why it's important. So I've told you, like, coding is almost, people say it's almost like a basic literacy skill now. Like, the importance of knowing how to code is just like reading. Like you really, it's become that important and that valuable in our society in this digital age, right? So um, for kids to understand how to code and how to navigate computers themselves are becoming that much more important. And I think parents are actually realizing now as well, now that their children have to basically self-teach themselves, right? They have to navigate on Google Classroom where to find their assignments and how to print them out, or go and do some research to figure out, different topics, or go watch different videos to learn different terminologies and mathematical skills. Because at the end of the day, these teachers not only have you to teach, but now they have their own children to teach, and they're amongst their own family too, right? So it's a challenge. And it's been a challenge for everyone, right? So parents are having to have to teach their children. The teachers are now having to have to navigate this whole online world. And a lot of teachers, as unfortunate as it is, they never felt the need to use technology, right? In fact, it's funny because a lot of my placements that I was at, there would be a tech person in the classroom. And I'm like, what do you mean a tech person? Like you can't just plug in like your laptop into the projector and like, but apparently, some teachers just can't, like, depends. Like if they weren't exposed to it, you can't expect them to learn it on a whim, right? It's just like anything else. And I think that's why I saw this huge need in the world to actually get our children up to speed on what is happening. Right?
And because, of course, we're raising them in the digital era, and we, as parents, come from that era. So it's a skill that we don't have that we can now sit and teach, right? So we need to expose them, and we need to make sure they have the cutting edge information and learning so that they can compete against their peers when they get out into the world and doing whatever they're doing. So can you share with us sort of the program that you have created and are running or ready to launch, I guess. In terms of, first of all, before we get there, actually, I want to just confirm, like, so this whole coding idea, there's an underlying or sort of a basis of learning, what that allows the kids to learn. So, it's not coding in terms of, okay, just the language, but the skill set they're getting from even going through a program like that. Can you just sort of address that as to what other skills they're getting better at?
Absolutely. So we hear this whole notion about, growth mindset, and how children need to develop this growth mindset. And so if you're unfamiliar with the growth mindset, I'll tell you a little bit about it, and then we can kind of go into how coding helps that. Okay. So the growth mindset really is that ability to break down large problems or difficult problems into smaller tasks. So you see this a lot in the math world, in the mathematical world. So you'll see children say, oh, I can't do that. It's too hard, right? They won't think about the steps or the strategies that they have learned before that will help them solve those bigger problems. And when they don't develop that growth mindset, they just shut down and like, oh, I can't do it. They're frustrated, and the frustration takes over, and their brain just completely shuts down. They can't think. And being an educator, I see that all the time. I see it with my own children, right? Like, for example, they have like two numbers multiplied by two numbers, and like, oh, I can't do that. What do you mean you can't do it? Just because you only know your times table from 1 to 12 doesn't mean you can't solve these problems. Break it down for yourself, right? Do what you know first, and everything else will fall into place. So when you look at coding, what that does is it teaches them that ability to take that large problem, like making a robot pick up that medicine, just shake it up, break it up into those smaller tasks. That's exactly what coding is helping them do, right? So it creates that growth mindset. And then problem solving skills, the analytical skills, those are what are stemming from this play-based learning, essentially, because especially when you throw in the robotics aspect of it, is they're really just making something, like doing something on the computer and making something happen. And it's, oh my God, my like my son, he's 6 years old, and he coded. I'm just gonna put my coffee down, and I'm gonna show you something. So he made this robot move like so. It's like this, and he makes this robot just glide like. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make it."
Center of there, yeah.
There we go. So it looks like this. Let's let me put this on top. So this is the actual. I guess this is the heart. This is called microbit, and that's the heart of the device, right? So that's the computer part of it. So you program this part, and it allows this entire mechanism move. So I started off the code for him because he's 6 years old. So I started off saying, okay, you know, if you turn it on, it's going to go 20 centimeters an hour, basically. And he's like, oh, that's too slow, mommy. I want it to go faster. I'm like, okay, so you look at the code and you see what you need to change in order to do what you want it to do. So that's how we start off with the younger kids, right? You start off with a basis line, and then they take that code and build on it. So there's lights on the top. So do you want the lights to go on? Great. So I'll create the code for the lights to go on. Now you tell me, oh, maybe it'll be red and blue. I'll code it to red and blue. But they're like, I don't like those colors. I want them to be pink and purple. So now you take the code that I've put on and change it to how you want it to be, right? So that's it's like with any type of learning and teaching, you have to create like a scaffolded approach, right? So you start off with one thing and then that you build on it. And that's kind of what coding does, right? It scaffolds learning for them.
Right. It's brilliant because you're teaching them reasoning skills, analytical skills, problem solving, critical thinking, right? Because they have to kind of take what you have and figure out, well, I don't want it to be red and blue. I want it to be pink and purple. This all critical thinking, right? So the stuff that's happening sort of as children develop the skill is different neural pathways are being built in their brain that they can then address these, or they have the skills that when other problems show up, they can use the skill set to do that. And it's almost that they don't even know they're doing it, right? Because it just becomes a natural response, a natural way.
Exactly.
There. So I think
creating instincts, right? Yeah.
And yet, you know, it's almost like you don't know how you got there, but you've learned certain skills and other things that you can apply sort of throughout your learning and doing things. So I think that's really important. So tell us a little bit about this launch, like the program that you're I'm so excited for you because I think for the summer months, as parents are looking for different things for their kids to do. I mean, obviously summer camps are canceled and things that they want their kids to, I mean, I think for a lot of parents, it's like they can teach some things, but they still need other teachers and things that they don't know how to do to bring that into the child's experience. And if they're going to be just on a device anyways, if they're just going to be on a computer playing games, why not make this into a learning that can actually benefit them? So that's why I think this is perfect timing for you to launch, because now kids are, you know, parents are looking for summer things. So you tell us, what are you doing?
Okay. So initially I was looking, you know, for space and getting this actually like an actually after school club where the kids could come in, play around and learn and engage with the material and the different types of robotic things that we would have available to them. Well, COVID happened. That didn't really work out. But I was like, you know what? I still have so much that I have all this like built up excitement that I just can't let it go, right? So I'm like, I thought about it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try. I've been doing some freebie things here and there just to kind of see how it works with the online platform. Is it able, like, you know, are the younger kids able to navigate, being able to toggle back and forth with me live, things like that. And you know what? To my surprisement, they are becoming experts online. Like they are amazing. So I said, you know what, let's do this. So I put together this club. Now I was running a club at our mosque at JCC Jeffries Community Center for the last almost year now, and we had 2 sessions, which went amazing. The kids loved it. We had great feedback, great experience. COVID happened. We had to shut down. So a lot of the parents have approached me and said, you know, we would definitely sign our kids up if you had something online. So I said, okay, let's see if this is even possible, because at the end of the day, it's like that that intimacy aspect will be missing, right? I'm not there with them. I can't really see what they're doing on their devices, but you know what? You can share your screen and I can still see it all happening. So it's still very much possible. So we are launching June 15th. We're going to run for the entire summer. Parents have the flexibility to choose any days. Like we're running 7 days a week. And we've just got different categories. So depending on the level of the child, if they've had prior coding experience or if they're just completely fresh, new, never coded before, they're able to join the sessions. So we have beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels. The advanced levels are actually going to be learning the language itself, right? The younger ones are going to just be introduced to the whole algorithmic aspect of it, learning how to break a bigger problem into smaller parts. An example that I showed you, like, I'll give them a starter code and, now you take this code and tell me which lines do we need to change to make it unique to your own. So we've got lots
of sort of like let's say for the beginners, would it be like a 6-week session, an 8-week session, or is it ongoing? Like how's that working?
So the beauty about coding is that you can jump in whenever you want. And that's how we wanted to dedicate our or design our course to be, is, parents have the flexibility to pick and choose when and whenever they want. So it's not really they're not going to be learning something in class 1 that they're going to need to apply in class 2. It's very individualized. So they will come in, here's a line, let's review what it is, what coding is, or what this platform is. We'll show some different ways on how to change the code around. That's for the beginner level.
Right.
That don't have any experience, right? So they can come in on week 1 and then stop for 3 weeks and join again in week 4, or they can join in week 4 and never come for the first 3 weeks. So they'll have the opportunity to still learn, right? And it's very self-directed coding, right? So it's not, and that's what we want. We want them to struggle to find the solution, because that's the whole mindset thing, right? Like that goes in line with what we want, what they should be acquiring. Yeah, what they should be acquiring from coding. And there might be times where they might get upset and Mom, I never want to do this again. But it's our job to be like, no, this is really good. It's okay to get frustrated. It's okay to feel this way, but don't give up. Just keep trying, because you will get it. And that's when that growth mindset comes in, right? They need to struggle to find the solution. They need to not know to want to know, if that makes sense.
Well, that's parenting, and I mean, we're doing that anyways in terms of the things, right? There's some things they like, some things they don't, and we kind of encourage them. It's even like eating, right? Sometimes they don't like broccoli, but we encourage them, right? So, I mean, this is all part of parenting.
Cheese on top, make it more fun, right? Like
whatever it takes, right? Put it into a smoothie. I don't know, but I think it's all about, sort of giving an opportunity for the child to experience something and see where it goes, like for their learning, right? Because some kids are going to be really drawn to the robotic side of it. They want to know how things work and how do they make it do this or that. And I think that's a great way to learn. And since now everything's really coming online, it's a great way that you've pivoted from a classroom setting or, a center-based setting into something that's virtual, where they can come and go, they can pick up wherever they join in and still be able to learn the skill set needed. And so I've just
designed it more as a club aspect than a course, right? And if you go into any facility that is talking about coding or teaching coding, that's exactly how it's being designed. It's a club, right? At the end of the day, you come in, you play around with the mechanisms, you figure out what ticks and what doesn't, and how things move and how things work, because that's the curiosity aspect of a child as well, right? And their curiosity will drive them.
So can you show, I know you did before the show, you showed me sort of the robotic side of things that you have. If you can just share that would be awesome.
Sure. So this one here is what we call this is the most fun toy, I think, for a lot of kids. It's because it's an actual car. So this is called our Smart Cute Bot. Okay, and essentially what it is a self-automated car. Okay, so you use a computer program called Make Code, and program this device, which was fabricated by the BBC. Okay. In fact, they were giving these out in London when they first launched a few years ago for free to all like primary and elementary school children. So
Wow.
unfortunately, we didn't get that, but we're always behind a little bit, I find, right? So we do have a number of these available. Even if you don't want to join the club and you just want to purchase them on the side, we've got a lot available for our to sell, and we're actually the distributor in Canada for that, so we can get those to you.
And does it, so if you're just buying the let's say that one box, it comes with all the instructions and whatever.
So that's what I was just going to show you right now, actually. So with that kit, so for this one, in fact, the way we sell it is just with this component here, because we do expect you to first purchase this and familiarize yourself with how this works. And this microbit, this is called the microbit. Okay, and what this has is a number of sensors just on this one component here. So you can do things like these are all LED lights here, so they could actually shine up. You can create like hearts and little words that will run across the screen. There's also a compass built into here. There's a temperature sensor, so you can detect temperature, and it can read, the temperature in your room or your body temperature, things like that. There's also an accelerometer, so it will detect whether you're tilting it, left or right, or going from up to down, things like that. So just this device alone will allow you all those capabilities and code that onto here. So that's kind of the natural progression. So you first start with, understanding how this guy works, and then you've got the manual for the actual microbit, and it gives you, the extension that you need to download, okay, off the website. And then it also provides you with, the starter codes on like how to get started with it, right? So if you just want the heart, like I said, the heart to flash on the microbit, so it'll show you how to do that.
Cool.
Okay?
That is.
And then there's so many, like if you go onto the Make Code website, what's great is it has all these like pre-done blocks. So you just literally just click and drag and drop. It's super easy, yeah. And so that one,
right? If they're following those instructions, the success is there. So when it works, it's like they get happy, right? Like, oh, I did it, and then continue on with sort of more complicated. That's brilliant.
Yeah. So that's where that, exactly what you said, the excitement comes in, right? And it's like, okay, I got it to work. Now let me try doing this, or let me try making it do that, or let me customize it and do that. So then what you also get with this, with the smart car, is a little track. So that's cool. So you can instruct it to kind of go along the track, right? So it's got sensors in here that will detect the black lines.
Oh, wow.
So it'll follow the black lines, and then you can even get, black tape and create your own on a Bristol board. So then it'll create like a maze type thing so there's always that, like I said, that progression to expand. So they give you the basis, they teach you the basis from the book, and then it's your child's opportunity to take what they've learned and just run with it.
Right. So imagination is really that's it's the only limitation as to how far can you take it, right?
You got it, exactly.
Awesome.
So that's one, and then the other one we have is this one here. So this one is quite simple. It comes again with the microbit. Oh, I'm holding it upside down. There we go. Comes with the microbit as well, and what you're able to do is actually fasten the microbit onto your wrist. So we use this quite a bit in the introductory class, because what they do is they learn to program just with using the microbit itself, right? So a lot of kids enjoy doing like a step counter. So every time it shakes, it detects the shake movement, and every step you take, obviously your body shakes, right? So So the kids really like that, and they're like, oh, now I have like my own Fitbit, and it's like,
Right,
yeah, of course,
right.
right? So it's that concept of learning. Okay, that's how a Fitbit works. Oh, okay, cool.
Yes.
So and it comes with like, again, it comes with your USB, your microbit, a strap for your wrist. And yeah, we'll throw in batteries if you need batteries as well. So that's
So it's so brilliant that, you've got the kits that they could really buy on their own if that's what the parents want to start out with, or come join the club and then take on whatever the child's skill level is to join either a beginners or intermediate or whatever, which I think is a great way to sort of gauge where the kids are depending on age and whatever they know.
Right.
So I guess for now, they can, anybody that wants information, or they can follow you on Instagram at coding_mama. And I guess if they want to know, like, how are you doing this launch? Are you basically going to have it on Instagram when you have it live?
So I'm advertising on a number of different social media platforms, along with like Marketplace and things like that.
Okay.
So it's open to anyone, everyone from the ages of 6 to 16, I believe I cut it off. But I mean, if you're 17, 18, and you really want to do it, by all means, I'm not going to say no. And if you have a 5-year-old and they're a little bit, they can read. That's the most important thing, is they can read that simple English. They have the phonetic awareness. That's key for to be able to read the blocks itself.
Right.
And then like the last kit that we have is for our more intermediate, advanced level students, because it does require a little bit more mathematical skills. So these are the sensors that it comes with. So there's like a moisture sensor, there's a motor, there's an rainbow LED. You have a screen here that will basically run whatever message you want to provide or give. Then they also have, this one here, which is your noise maker, and it allows you to add in all of your sensors at the bottom. So there's a noise sensor. I don't even know. There's like millions. So there's also like a micro servo, which allows your device to run in a circle. So if you want to, make water move from one container to another, talking about, a dam and how that works and things like that. So there's that aspect of thinking, how are things actually working out there? We see things working, we see things happening, but how is it actually working? What is happening behind the scenes? Right. So that's where this one really lets the child understand what's happening in the real world, right? And how they can make that change happen. Or
because it's a curiosity, right? Like, how is that, whatever, like you said, how is this happening outside where we're using certain things and not really knowing the background of how they're how it's working. So I think that's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Cool. Yeah, I hope that helped. And then so I'll show you like one example of what you can actually do here. So this one here is basically a voice activated lights. Okay, so you'll use a number of your sensors. So you'll use actually 3 sensors included in your kit, put them together, put it onto a light, or if you have small LED lights. And again, we can include these little things because we have them available. So if you wanted to, for example, attach an LED light, one of these little lights, onto like your little room, right? So you add your sensors onto the lights, you put it all together, you clap your hands, and your lights turn on. Or in this case, they were using a cat to meow, right? To detect some sort of sound, essentially.
Right. That's so amazing. I mean, this is where, you can get really creative, or the kids can get really creative. So I want to ask you, because they need these items, is it being shipped to them online? How are they getting access to it?
Yeah, so if they want the items, if they are in Canada, I'm willing to cover the shipping costs. for anybody in Canada. And if you're outside of Canada, we'll have to take a look, because I know some of my friends are in Africa, and they're like, can you send that to us? So we have to work something out, but we'll see. It might be faster just to send it from our distributor straight to them, or we'll have to work something out.
Okay, but so they can get it from you in terms of you would just ship it to their house.
Absolutely.
So because of this whole social distancing, and we're trying to make sure that the contact is minimal.
Yes.
So then that's available. And then the online course, they can basically message you on Instagram. Once you launch, you'll be able to have your the dates and the timings. Is it like 1 hour, the sessions, or how's that work?
Yes, the sessions are going to be, they'll run 1 hour. So right now I have a beginner on, let me see here. I have beginner running on Mondays. Sorry, 1 second. Let me see. Yeah, so beginners are Mondays, 4 to 5, Thursdays, 4:30 to 5:30, and Saturday mornings from 10 to 11. Okay. And then we have intermediate from 4:30 to 5:30, and Fridays, 3 to 4, sorry. And Wednesdays and Sundays are advanced. And on Wednesdays, it's 4 to 5, and Sundays is 10 to 11. So we've got a range of dates available.
And I guess once you launch, they'll be able to see the schedule wherever you post it. You'll probably have somewhere where they can go on a site. Awesome. Well, you know what? This has been an amazing interview. Just
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, it was amazing. I think you've taken away some of my fears of all of this, like coding.
Maybe you'll join me.
So I just wanted to kind of close off. If there's any parting words that you would want to share with the parents, as they navigate through summer.
For sure. So whether you want to join my club or not, computer literacy, coding, this digital era is so important to get our children ready for. There are so many great websites just for free for children just to go on and play around. I strongly urge every parent to make that commitment with their children. There's code.org, there's Tinker, Code Monkey. These are all a number of platforms for free for parents, for their children, just to go on and expose their children to these skills that they are going to need in the future. Like, there's no question, there's no hiding. All those parents are like, oh no technology, no screen time. Well, too bad, it's happening. So you know what I mean? Like, there's no hiding from it.
It's time to embrace it, because really we've become a virtual world. We are a virtual world right now, right? And so we can go screaming and fighting, or we can appear with grace and say we're going to take it on. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love what you stand for, and that you're empowering others to take this learning on. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Awesome. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this brought to you some ways of learning and figuring it out, how you can expose your children to this different type of learning, not different type of learning, but a learning that is going to not just help them in terms of, creating something that moves or robotics, but the whole idea of deeper learning, analytical thinking, critical thinking, all of those skills that are required just in terms of navigating through life. So I hope you enjoyed that. Aalia is an amazing person. So if you want to reach out to her on Instagram, with questions, or if you want to join the program, by all means, follow her on coding_mama. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining in. Wishing you a blessed Monday. Be kind to yourself and to others. Until tomorrow, I'll see you at 10.